Hi, Sean.
I talked to you yesterday.
Good. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes. A great host.
Show is radio.
Listen to his show.
Absolutely, 95.5.
One mic. All I need is one mic. That's all I need.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shelley Winter Show. We're live, local, topical, and relevant. And had a schedule. We're still waiting for Trump to come out on the stage. But I got a text. Got a text about 10 minutes ago, Magic Mike, from a dear friend of mine, Latron Price. I've known Latron since I've been here. Joseph Beasley passed away yesterday. Joe Beasley was a civil rights icon. He was born in 1936. Worked with Rainbow Push here in the Southeast for many, many years. Just been an advocate for human civil rights. His whole life, he served in World War II, fought in World War II. Just a good dude, man. Just a really, 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 really good dude. I am actually not World War II, Korea. He served in Korea. Just a really good dude. I first met Joe Beasley years ago when I was on another station. I was on in the morning, in the afternoons. And the Concerned Black Clergy of Atlanta asked me to speak at their breakfast. They had a monthly breakfast. And it's the first time I was down here. I was on the radio speaking to this group. And I didn't know the lay of the land. I didn't know who's who. I didn't know the legendary folks. I didn't know the civil rights folks, and which kind of played to my advantage at the time because I was able to talk freely about the issues of the day without any, favoritism or, hate, anger or whatever. I was just able to tell people what I thought. And I'll never forget, I walked to this breakfast, the Concerned Black Clergy, and Joe Beasley was standing there, and he looked at me and he said, "I can't believe you guys have this guy speaking here at this breakfast. He's very dangerous." That's what he said about me. He said, "He's very dangerous." And I'll never forget that because at the time, I was like, oh, cool, because I didn't know who he was. And then I found out later who he was, and I was like, oh, man, this guy called me dangerous. And then we became dear, dear friends. And he started, and he transitioned from civil and human rights to trying to bring together Africans, African Americans, Africans, just the diaspora, Africans from the diaspora, Brazil, America, Africa, throughout the continent of Africa, and bringing Africans and and men and women of African descent together to form kind of a powerful social, economic, and political pact globally. And that's when the latter part of his life, that's what he worked on. He would travel to Brazil a lot. He had multiple, distinguished awards from Brazil and parts of South America, and all the work that he was doing. He had worked throughout Africa and west coast of Africa, working to bring people together, to bridge the gap between disparate groups of people all sharing one homeland, which was Africa. Much like you'll see the Irish do, or the Italians. Everyone else does, and he was trying to bring that. That's what he had spent the latter part of his life concentrating on, and he was just a really, really, really good dude, man. Spent time at his home years ago, traveled with him domestically, and I just really, he passed away, as I said, last night. Joseph Beasley passed away, and it's very sad news, and I just got it as I was coming on the air, which is why I kind of sound like this. The guy was a really good dude, and he really, it's interesting because he never really agreed with my politics. but he was always supportive of my career. And that's kind of the guy he was. The biggest disagreement we had when I was on another station years ago, he had come out and he was talking about how baseball needed to do more to bring in African Americans. And being a baseball player and former baseball player myself, this is early in my radio career. I thought just throwing rhetorical bombs was the way to go. And I remember saying, if black boys want to play baseball, they'll play baseball. Major League Baseball doesn't need to spend money, if we want to play baseball. And that was the last disagreement that we had. After that, I started to close my mouth and open my ears with Joe Beasley. And I started to listen to the things that Joe Beasley was saying. And I started to take counsel from Joe Beasley. And then my good friend Latron Price, I think I introduced him, I'm not sure, but they met, and then they started the Joe Beasley Foundation, and that still exists. But we lost an icon. We lost a great man, and if you're hearing it for the first time, please, if you know the Beasley family, please reach out. I'll let everybody know about what's going on next. But Mr. Beasley is one of the last warriors, one of the last soldiers from that era in American history, that era of men and women who fought tirelessly for equal and human and civil rights, and he's going to be missed. It's tough to get news like that and then have to come on the show. And I thought about it, maybe I'd wait, but I didn't know what to do, so I figured let me talk about it early on because I'm very emotional, if you cannot tell. And so I said, well, if I talk about it earlier, I might be able to get my sea legs back throughout the show. But if I waited, I would have really been just dragging. And plus, quiet as kept, Mr. Beasley deserves to be spoken about at the top of a show. President Trump has just come out to start speaking, so we might talk about that in the next segment. But I just wanted to let everybody know within the sound of my voice that Joseph Henry Beasley, my dear friend to the civil rights movement, an American hero, a fighter for justice, a fighter for civil rights, a fighter for human rights, a fighter for poor people all around the world, has passed away, and he will be sorely missed. We'll be right back. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. We'll take you to some of Trump's words as well when we come back.